Sometimes it is all we can do just to hold up the fort, keep things running, and keep things together. The homemaker is certainly the engine of the home, and sometimes she's just the glue that's keeping it all together and keeping this place from falling apart. Welcome to my channel and welcome back, my friends. My name is Jenna Lee, and I'm just going to take you through the week as I am keeping this place together. I feel like the days are going by faster than I would like to lately, and life just doesn't slow down. Home is certainly my favorite place to be. This is the place that I work, that I rest, that I play, and where my loved ones are. But there are mandatory responsibilities that pull us away from the home sometimes, whether it's appointments or activities, social events. This week was all of those things. We had some appointments in the big city that required us to be gone for most of the day a couple of times this week. And we also had some social events, which keeps things upbeat, keeps things exciting. I feel like I can stay in this little box, and I have to tell myself to open up, to invite the people in, and to think about blessing the lives of others. And so we did have some company over this week. And we also had a birthday in the family, and we threw a big birthday party because my oldest was actually born on leap day. And so every 4 years we throw a big birthday party for him because it's just a special, unique thing. So I'll share with you guys in this video as well some things that I'm cooking up just to keep things going, just to keep things running, things that I can put together pretty quickly. We still have chores to do all the time, but when things get hectic and fast going and I need to just kind of maintain, the floors are not always clean, things are not always super tidy, but I try to do the things that need to get done the most. One of these things was taking care of the firewood that's been sitting on this trailer for a while. Even though we're kind of having a false spring and it's beautiful and warm outside, I know that colder days are going to pop back in here and we're probably going to get a couple more snowfalls. So we do need to keep the firewood stacked for those cold spring days that are still ahead of us. Another thing on my mandatory list is getting the dishes done. When I procrastinate the dishes and go a day or two, I am so sorry. And so I at least try to get a load done a day. Even if the dishwasher isn't completely full, by nighttime I start a load and in the morning we empty a load, and I just try to keep that routine going. So for our big birthday bash, I decided to keep it really simple by just baking up a bunch of cookies and doing some snacks. We rented out kind of a cultural hall or an activity center at a church and just did some sports with a bunch of friends. So I'm baking up a load of cookies. You all know how I feel about baking. I feel like it's therapeutic and it's delicious and I love doing it. And I absolutely love my bakeware. This is from the brand Taste of Home. I got all of my bakingware from ChewyHousewares.com, and I absolutely love these sheet pans, the drying wire rack, and all of my little containers that I have keeping all of my baking ingredients. They're high quality. I love the nonstick pans. They don't hold onto your cookies. They're easy to clean, and they're just beautiful. So if you're looking for some high quality bakingware, cooking tools for your kitchen, you can go to ChewyHousewares.com. And if you use my code, you can get 10% off your first order. When it comes to big events, things that can cause a lot of stress, I like to keep it simple. So I baked up close to 8 dozen snickerdoodle cookies, a regular batch of chocolate chip butterscotch cookies, and packed those all up. I also asked a couple of my friends if they wouldn't mind bringing some cookies to the party as well, bought some chips and pretzels, put them all on a table, and just had a really relaxed, good time. One thing that I have learned is that when you are going through times of struggle, a season of just not being able to keep up with everything, and we all have them, when someone reaches out and offers to take your kids for a day or to make you a meal, just say yes. I've been so blessed to have a couple of friends recently offer when they know that we have just been so busy or struggling with something. And I'm so glad that I said yes. And I feel so blessed to be able to. So on this particular day, we are getting ready to go to the big city for a medical appointment. And I wanted to put together a lunch so that I didn't have to take all the kids out to lunch and maybe dinner. And so I put together some sourdough bagels the night before and let that ferment all night long. This is a recipe that I have used many times. It's a moist, soft, chewy bagel. I don't like my bagels really dense. For some reason, this batch turned out really wet. And I don't know if it's because I was wetting my hands with water to keep them from sticking with the dough as I did my folds and as I was shaping the dough. Usually I just powder them with some flour to keep from sticking, so maybe it could have been that. But anyhow, they turned out just fine. I even thought about turning off the camera as I'm shaping them here, and the dough is just crazy sticky. But I thought I would show you how sometimes things just don't always go perfectly as planned, but they usually turn out just fine. I do have some little eggs sitting here in an incubator on the counter. This is new. We are testing out hatching our own chicks this spring, and it's pretty exciting. The kids are totally into it. And if anything comes of this, which I hope they do, I will keep you guys posted, and hopefully we'll have some little chicks hatching this spring. So I did let our dough rise in the oven with the light turned on. Let them rise for about an hour or so as we got ready to go on our trip. Tried to just tidy up and finish getting ready, feed the baby, do all the things. Bread is just one of those staples, and I find that when everything is kind of falling, when you are just spinning plates and you can't keep all of them up, if you could just keep the bread spinning, if you could keep that coming, it's just one of those staples. You can always make sandwiches, have toast, French toast for breakfast. It's just a good old snack for the kids. I'm also whipping up a quick breakfast this morning, and one thing that I've been doing lately, and I wanted to share it with you guys, is I've just been enhancing our oatmeal. Honestly, my kids really don't like oatmeal. They complain every time I make oatmeal for breakfast. I love it, but just to spruce it up for them, I'm making a pumpkin pie oatmeal. And so I just make my oats like normal here on the stove with some water, and when they are just about done, I add the pumpkin puree to the oats, and then I mix together a half a cup or to a cup of milk with a couple of eggs, and I just make a custard. So I mix in the puree, maybe a little bit of salt and butter, and then in a separate dish I whisk together the milk and the eggs. And to make this like a pumpkin pie, I'm adding all the pumpkin pie spices, cinnamon, nutmeg, a little bit of allspice, some ginger, and to sweeten it up, I used some honey, but you could also use maple syrup or brown sugar, and just add it to your liking. I found that this needed a little bit more salt, a little bit more sweetness on top of the honey that I already added. But when you pour in your milk and egg mixture, I just keep the unit on low, and I stir and stir until it just starts to thicken up and all that egg mixture is cooked through. And it's just this beautiful, creamy little kind of an oatmeal custard or an oatmeal pudding. And sprinkle some cinnamon and sugar on top, maybe add a little bit of milk. And it's just a way to enhance your oatmeal, add a little bit of vitamins, but also just keep it from being boring, especially if your kids are not big fans of oatmeal. I think you could do the same thing without adding any pumpkin and just make kind of a cinnamon custard, almost like a rice pudding. That would be really yummy. To finish off the bagels, I have a big pot of boiling water here, and I've added a heaping tablespoon of baking soda and a tablespoon of sugar to the water. And now that our dough this dough was really sticky and just kind of blah, but it's usually kind of rises a little bit, and you shape it with your thumb so all the sides are even, and plop it into the water face down and cook it for a minute on either side. And the longer it goes in the boiling water, the kind of more chewy your bagel is, so it depends on how you really like it. I like mine soft and moist and chewy. And then plop them back onto your parchment paper, and that's when you can add any toppings that you want to your bagels. I like to do an everything spice where it has the poppy seeds and the sesame seeds, nuts, onion flakes, and I also have some poppy seeds, so I'm going to do some just regular old poppy seed and some sesame seeds. Another favorite of ours is cheddar with jalapeno, or you could even do a sweet one with some sugar and cinnamon. And then you put it into the oven at 350 degrees and let that bake up till it's nice and golden. I'll be sure to add the recipe link down in the description box below. If you wanted to just prepare this days in advance and put the dough in the fridge, dough tends to get more flavor and enhance and enrich, especially sourdough. It gets a little bit more sour. And then pull it out and shape it and cook it, whatever you want to do. But they're going to be perfect for taking on our outing today. And I just made some simple cream cheese sandwiches. This would be really yummy with some smoked salmon or even a little bit of ham and arugula. We kept it pretty simple with just cream cheese today. And I'm adding a little bit of fruit to our lunch box here and some yogurts. And this will keep everybody pretty satisfied as we are on our outing today. You know, sometimes just kind of thinking one step ahead can save us in a pinch. And lately I've been making my grocery orders online. I've shared with you a couple ways I do that, but often I also just keep a Walmart cart going and push that order button and just pick it up when we are running our errands or coming home from a trip. And it helps just to have some extra eggs, milk. If you want to throw bagels in the cart, go ahead and do that. But it's just those little things that can really save you in a pinch. On this next day, we were having some company over for dinner. And after a long day of homeschool and preparations and trying to catch up on homemaking, I had to get dinner ready in 30 minutes. So here's what I do when I have to get dinner ready in 30 minutes. Well, after I have prepared a caffeinated cold beverage and a little nice candle to get some good smells going for our company, I am doing a sheet pan dinner. And I've thawed out some chicken thighs. I'm going to put that straight onto a sheet pan. And my plan is to put a bunch of vegetables on here and some delicious seasoning and bake this up for 30 minutes. What I love about sheet pan dinners is you can do so many different things, and you can use any type of vegetables or potatoes that you have in your kitchen. So I'm going to do a teriyaki style sheet pan dinner, and I'm preparing some rice. I love cooking rice in my Instapot because it only takes 12 minutes on its cook setting. So I got 4 cups of rice going in the cooker, and I'm just kind of spot cleaning the house. I did set the kids on different assignments. When we have people coming over, I usually assign one kid to the living room, one kid to the dining room, one kid on picking things up off the stairs, or maybe doing the family room upstairs and checking the bathroom. Everyone gets an assignment, and it's kind of a mad dash to preparing for company. And so now I'm just kind of going over the living room and making sure it is, mom clean. And now our chicken is thawed out. I just seriously threw some chicken thighs real quick in the microwave on a thaw setting. And that's ready to go. So I'm going to put this on our sheet pan. I have some broccoli florets that need to be used, so I'm chopping those up and putting them on here. I think the key to sheet pan dinners is choosing vegetables and chopping them up the right way so that they all bake at about the same time. So I added some mini bell peppers and some sweet potatoes that I'm chopping up into thin sliced quarters so that they will cook faster. I'm also going to dice up some onions and drizzle the rest of this with some olive oil and then add all the seasonings. And since I'm doing a teriyaki style sheet pan dinner, I'm going to add some garlic powder. I use garlic powder in a lot of things, and so I like to have it in a mason jar. And then I'm going to add some ginger. And I'm going to drizzle it with this Japanese barbecue sauce that I really have been enjoying from my last order of Thrive Market. And then I'm going to massage all of these flavors into the vegetables and the meat. I'm also topping it off with a little bit of soy sauce and some black pepper and some pepper flakes. Then I baked it in the oven at 400 degrees for about 30 minutes. During this time, the company did arrive, but my family was happy to entertain them for a little bit before dinner was done. While we were waiting for the sheet pan dinner to finish baking, I whipped together a Texas sheet cake real quick. This is kind of my quick and easy dessert, but it's always a crowd pleaser and it makes a lot of cake. And so it just gets started on the stove with some water and cocoa powder and butter. And you bring that to a boil. This is what makes the chocolate cake so moist, is this hot mixture that you prepare ahead of time. And then this boiling hot water and chocolate you pour into your dry ingredients, which is just flour and sugar and a little bit of baking soda. I'll make sure to pin the recipe for this down in the description box so you can find it there. And then you just put it out onto a large sheet pan, and I like to cover it with a little bit of parchment paper so it comes up easier cleanup. And it's just a moist, delicious chocolate cake that everybody loves. And the key to keeping it moist as well, another key component, is that the frosting cooks up on the stove and you put it on right after the cake comes out of the oven. Often in times of pressure or busyness, I tend to pull myself inside and just not look outside of my own walls. But lately, I've been pushing myself to allow myself to have opportunities to have people over, to take the opportunity to invite someone from church or friends passing through and bring them in for dinner. And I've come to realize that just having some good company over, some friends, helps my nerves kind of unwind, release for a little bit, and I really enjoy the process of feeding into others. Not just feeding them good food, which I love to do, but feeding into people. And I think you know what I mean. And I feel like in return, I'm fed as well. And it's just aligning those priorities and remembering to keep people at the top of that priority list. And I feel like when we do that, then it's always rewarding. So the cake bakes for only 15 minutes. And while it's baking for that 15 minutes, then you whip up the frosting on the stove with some more butter and cocoa and some milk and some powdered sugar. And I like to use my immersion blender to get out all the lumps from the powdered sugar, and it goes on nice and smooth over the top. I hope that spending some time with me today has given you some encouragement to just keep pushing along. Life is full of seasons. Some are busy and some are not. But whatever season you're in, I hope that you will keep it moving forward with positivity, and that you will also join me here next week for a new video. And let's keep in touch in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Love you lots. That's really good, buddy.
Do one last one that comes out fast.